Okay everybody, welcome to the channel. We are going to be flying today from Manila, Philippines to Cebu in the Philippines. In the DC-3, this is sort of a test. I've been having some interesting little troubles with my OBS setup, and this is not streaming but being uploaded because I'm trying to figure that stuff out. Can't I get this hydraulic lever to work for me here? Oh, those cameras, there we go. Why can't I get that to work? Okay, well, we'll come back to that. Normally I want to pump up the hydraulics a little bit. Check all that, looks okay. Cowl flaps are open. We're going to go ahead and turn on right magneto. We'll push in, I keep forgetting this, so push in. Right boost pump. Go ahead and turn on our beacon, wing lights, all that stuff. Got fuel tanks selected. Trim full forward, prop full forward, throttle cracked, the window up, and right side primer, or excuse me, right side starter, and that's a good starter, and mesh. Be ready with the primer over here. Unless I've missed anything, that should give us a good start. Which I've probably missed something. I almost always do in this thing. We did not get a good start. What did I miss? Okay, maybe I didn't have enough throttle in the left one. Double check all our switches though. Fuel's on. Magneto. Turn on left starter. Let's leave both boost pumps on for now. And mesh left. Prime left. There we go. Let's check our gauges. Okay, we've got good engines. Got hydraulic pressures coming up, avionics are on, temperatures are coming in. It'll take a minute. Let's take a look at our flight plan. Oops, wrong one. I need to turn that off. We'll take a look at our flight plan here. So what we're planning on doing here is flying down from Manila to Cebu, where my wife is from. It's about a 2.5 hour flight. Looks like we'll be leaving on runway 31, so we'll look that up in a moment, with expectation of landing on runway 4. I suppose we should go ahead and pick a departure. To a Pata, there's a bunch of them, looks like. So why don't we... look at our SIDS here. We could just not worry about it. I mean, yeah, you know what, let's not worry about flying a particular departure on this thing. We'll pay attention to the map and pick a desired track to the southeast. Which, you know, looking at our compass rose down here, let's see here, what we'll want to do is set a course of about probably a 1.7 or a 1.5 on our way out, and we'll just check the map from the Navigraph map from time to time. What runway did it say we were leaving from? Runway 31. Let's take a quick look at the airport map. See what my orientation is. So I'm parked all the way down here, where it said we're going to be leaving runway 31, right? 31. Okay, cool. So I'll get on Charlie over here and taxi all the way down to the runway. Let's double check, make sure we don't have any centers online for VATSIM. We are flying on VATSIM here, so I'm going to go ahead and go over to Unicom 122.8. Pop that in. And I'll probably look up some VORs after we get airborne. I'll look at the VFR. In fact, let's do that now. Let's look at the VFR map here. And we'll use VFRs for our flight here. VFR. Do we have VORs up in here or what? 113.4, I believe that's a VOR. Cebu City is 114.3, so we'll go ahead and dial that in. 114.3, booyah. Look over in VATSIM on the map and see if anyone's in my area. SimAware, let's take a look here. There's me on the ground. Yeah, there's a few planes in the area, but no one on the ground next to me or anything, so I'll be clear to climb out. And of course, in a DC-3, my cruise altitude today is only going to be 9,000 feet. So, not a lot of need for me to worry about traffic today, I don't think. So, it's good for a test of what we're doing here. Let's make sure our doors are closed. We do have kind of a heavy aircraft today. The sim brief had me carrying 21 passengers, as well as a bunch of cargo. So I am only 1,000 pounds under my my max takeoff weight. So pretty heavy. You know, that windsock makes me think that I should be taking off from that runway. Well, we'll follow what it says. It's good for my departure anyway, because I'll be taking off in that direction. In fact, oh no, I'm taking off opposite direction. Yeah, okay, no worries. Anyway, I've been learning this DC-3. I can't, so there's two versions of it, two variants, one of which has the more modern avionics, and one has this Sperry autopilot, this old school autopilot, which is really not an autopilot, it's a heading hold and an altitude hold, or really a pitch hold, not so much an altitude hold. And so I've been learning how to do all that, did a little test VOR to VOR flight across the eastern United States earlier today, and was having a little trouble with the audio settings in OBS, and I think I've got all that sorted. So this is a thing that I'm recording ahead of time, and if everything looks okay, I will upload it, which is odd for me. I normally stream live stuff. Okay, so is this our runway entrance right here? Yes, okay. I need to unbind that button. Got some sort of button binding thing going on there with the lights, as well with toggling an external camera. So let's park right here for a moment, lock our rear steering, and just real quickly figure out what's going on with that. Alpha, search by input, this button please. I don't want that. Clear, validate, and apply, go back, resume. Alright, landing lights on. Let's take a quick look at the outside of the airplane, make sure everything looks okay. Landing lights on, beacon lights on, position lights on, looking good. We're pretty well lined up down the runway. Rear wheel is set. We'll go ahead and our boost pumps are on. Let's look over the cockpit real fast. Temperatures are okay, engines are okay. Mixture is full forward. Yeah, we are good to go. All right. Manila traffic, Delta 64, taking off runway 31. We'll turn south for Cebu. We'll climb to 9,000 and cruise at 9,000. Okay. Get a little bit of speed up. One thing I've been trying to figure out about this plane is getting it off the ground. Until you get it up to about 160 miles per hour, it seems like it wants to just nosedive. Like, I guess there's... I'm not exactly sure if this is what it's referring to when people say airspeed alive. But really been struggling with that. I did a flight out of LAX the other day that was nearly disastrous because for the first 30 minutes I just couldn't get the damn thing to go. Alright, get ready to rotate. We're past 90. Alright, rotate. And gear up. I don't need flaps for takeoff here. Oh yeah, that's nice and smooth. We'll fly runway heading here for a second. Prepare to turn southeast. A little Manila for you. Oh, that was a beautiful takeoff. Okay, we'll bring back the prop a little bit. We'll leave the... Put the nose down a little. We'll trim down. Gain some more speed. We'll hand fly it for a few minutes here. Alright, that clickety-click you just heard was me putting the mixture into auto lean. And we'll come back here on the prop and come back on the throttle into the green. Now that we're in the air. Slow down our ascent to about 500 feet per minute. I think we'll take the safe route here and turn left over the water instead of right over the city. Alright, speed is looking good. Just messing with that trim wheel right now. Thousand is a little more than I want on vertical speed. Okay, cruising pretty good. Okay, coming up on 180, and we'll straighten it out at about 1.5 over here and engage the gyro pilot. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and change our heading to match and then engage gyro pilot. Climbing at 1100, airspeed is a little low, probably want to put the nose down a bit. Alright, autopilot. Gyro pilot engaged. Put the nose down a bit here. You gotta climb really gradually in this thing. Look at that though, what a beaut. Looky Dory, it's Manila. It's Manila. What do you think? Have you ever been there? It's Manila. I took off from right there. That is a big freaking city, isn't it? What's the population of Manila? Got a lot of... It's a sprawl. Okay. Alright, I'm pretty comfortable with this. We're climbing at about 700 FPM. Throttle's in the green. Let's kind of go around the cockpit, clean things up, and make sure we're good. Temps are a little high, which is odd. I think we'll need to come back on the carb heating a little bit here. And we should move these to trail. So I'm going to watch this inlet temperature here. Really? Okay. Leave them as open then. Come back on these just a little bit more. Airspeed is okay. We're still climbing. I'm going to give it a little bit more throttle for the climb here. Our manifold pressure up to 40 or so. Okay, otherwise we are alright. Just waiting to get a little more airspeed. I like to get up to 200 when we get to cruise. Let's check the map and see how we're doing navigationally. Yeah, pretty good. I would like to have some sort of VOR reference though for Ipata. I guess I'm not going to get one. Let's see here, IFR low. Do you have a VOR? Don't have a VOR. 113.4 is the closest VOR that we have, so we'll plug in 113.4, flip that over, and we're probably, yeah, we're out of range right now. This needle will pop over when we get close, and we'll just keep it off to the right while following a 142. We could alter course and take this 164 down, but since we filed a flight plan using certain waypoints, we're going to stay with it. But I'd just like to have the references dialed in. So Cebu City's VOR is 114.3, and we already have that set up as our secondary. So we're good. We'll go ahead and mirror all this in our 114.3. So we'll mirror this stuff in our second nav. Following the white arrow for the moment. Still climbing at 500, we're passing 6,000. Looking pretty good. We'll change course in a moment here to get onto this 133 heading. Took me a little while to figure out this Sperry autopilot, but I think I've finally come to understand kind of how it all works. Just have to forget a lot of what you know about modern avionics. It's tricky. It's tricky. One thing I'm going to have to do is pay attention to my fuel, because there's not crossfeed is not modeled on this airplane, so even though there's a knob for it down here, it cannot be activated, which is unfortunate. So that means that as I'm flying around, I've got to, from time to time, check my fuel gauge, but I've got a lot of fuel in the aircraft. 4 half tanks. 2 full tanks, I guess you could say. So right now I'm drawing from the left and right mains, but I've got lots in the left and right aux. Is this window closed? That's why it's so noisy. Windows open. Non-pressurized aircraft. Turn off the fuel pumps. A little quieter for the passengers. He was landing 1-3. Won't affect me at all. Okay, let's see. Are we ready to get our right turn here? Yes, we are. And we want to go 133, right? Straight toward that mountain. Don't mind knowing what that peak is. what its height is. VFR map here. Okay, it's 7100. Cool. Alright, we are on track. Airspeed is only 130. I don't like that, but I think it'll be alright when I level off and stop the climb.
DC-510 is maintaining 7,000 cruise check out to the north. The commence overhead for the circling runway 13 approach.
Okay, welcome back. We are at our cruise altitude, flying over this lovely mountain. Where are we here? The name of the place that we're at the moment. We're still over Luzon, flying over Sabig? Sabig? It's S-A-B-I-G. It's the name of a waypoint. It's not necessarily the name of the mountain. VFR. Nakalan. The name of the mountain, well, I don't have a name of the mountain. There's a place called Tala, south of Santa Cruz, coming up on Lucban, L-U-C-B-A-N. Lucban, L-U-C-B-A-N. B-A-N. Lucban. Indeed. Picking up some speed. Give it a little more beans here. Really should be cruising at like 200 miles an hour. So, not sure why it's a little sluggish here. Give it a tad more prop. Add more. Got our carbs cooled down nicely. Still a little bit high in the oil temp. Weirdly. Buzz, the airplane's looking good. Looking good. Let's see what turning off the superchargers does. Nope, it makes it slower. Leave those on. Let's take a look at our map. Yeah, we're looking 2. Isn't that pretty, Dory? It's kind of hollowed out inside. I think it used to be a volcano. But it's just south of Manila on Luzon.
Austin traffic, Philippine 174 commencing hold at Waypoint Sonia, passing 15,000.
This game is all about the sightseeing. Okay, checking back in here. We are south of Luzon now, coming up on a waypoint called Ipata. That is part of our flight plan. And we'll be turning right. I believe it's a 145. And then we'll be on that heading all the way to Batay, where our approach procedure will begin. So let's confirm that's a 145 here. Yeah, 145. And we'll go ahead and do that now. And so, really brief learning here of the Sperry gyro pilot. So basically, right now you can see how we're dialed in 15 over 15, 12 over 12. So the bottom row is what we're actually tracking right now. The upper row is basically your desired track. Now on my Bravo throttle quadrant over here, I've got my heading mapped here, but watch as the knob. I'm going to turn, and what was it again? 145, right? So I turned, and the aircraft is banking. You can see here that this 15 is pulling over here. So the only weird thing as you're learning this autopilot that it took me a little while to figure out is that it's sort of reversed. If you want to track to a bearing that's on your right, then you're looking to the left here. So it's kind of weird the way they did that, but it works. Now the other thing I want to do is I'm slowly climbing here, and I want to decrease my pitch. Number one, it'll help me catch up a little bit more speed. I'm still only going 160 here. I'd like to go faster. And the way you do that is with this guy over here. So right now I'm barely pitched nose up, and so I'm going to turn this knob, the elevator knob, to sort of center that and get myself just slightly pitched nose down. That's going to bring my climb
track Philippine 11710 mile final for the
down negative. And then when I get where I want it, I'll turn it back the other direction, and you'll see that it zeroes out my vertical climb, the vertical speed rate. So I'm going to try to zero that out as much as possible, but it's something that has to be managed. It's not a proper altitude hold, it's more of a trim hold. So a little tricky but fun. But anyway, that's the direction that we're going in for some time. So somewhere out that way is Cebu, which is our ultimate destination. "7,000 islands," and I'm going to be flying over water almost entirely.
Manila traffic RPC 510, vacate 21.
Pretty simple flight plan. Still haven't captured any VORs. Still just too far out, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's a pretty long way. Thought I set my transponder. There we go. Now it's set to 1200. Looking okay. Everything except speed. I don't understand why it's just kind of sluggish. Let me give it a little more throttle again. Come back on the props a little bit. Let's experiment with some levers here. We're in cruise. We shouldn't need a ton of prop. Hey, there we go. That went up a little bit. Sip some fuel there. Actually, I think that might have been the secret sauce. A little less prop. My temp's looking. Still a little bit high, even with the cowls open. I'm going to try to close them again, though. Pretty well trimmed out. Alright, quick check-in here. So our beautiful plane is cruising through central Philippines right now. Pull up the map. See that we've been maintaining just a smooth, steady 145. Coming up on Rappel here. So it was 114 nautical miles between those two waypoints from Ipata to Rappel. And now 88 more to Batay. Once we get to Batay, we're going to begin descending. You know, we'll get down to 5,000 here, and then by the time we get to Cebu, this is where things are going to get really interesting. So we're going to tune into the Cebu VOR, and we're actually already tuned into it, but it's still too distant. We're not picking up the radio signal yet. Then we're going to get on this 073, and there's also another version of this I might select instead, where I do a more gradual turn, but effectively this is going to be a VOR approach. So I'm going to go out at either a 199 or a 073, and 099 or 073. Regardless, we go out to the southwest here, and then loop around for a runway 4 arrival. So that is right now the plan, unless the arrival runway changes. That's what we should expect. Still no ATC on in this area, but there are some other folks flying around in the Philippines. So as you can see here, we left from Manila, so here's our flight thus far. We left from Manila, did a loopity-loop, and then got on course and came down. Here's where we turned right initially, and then we've just been sort of flying the same track the whole way down. And then it looks like there's another guy prepping to take off from Cebu right now, doing the opposite, but in an Airbus A21. So I doubt we'll see him unless he's still on the ground when we get there. Still a good ways to go, but enjoying myself. Fine airplane. Look at that view. Not a bad place to be a pilot.
Local traffic, Cebu 570 will line up runway 04.
Okay, things are about to get interesting. So this landmass here is Bantayan Island, which is just to the north of Cebu Island. You can see Cebu off in the distance. Our airport that we're going to be landing is sort of on the other side of the island. So we're still about 60 or so nautical miles from our destination at this point. We're going to be doing a right turn just after this island. We're going to be doing a right turn, and then we've got
Open traffic, Cebu 570 will take off runway 04 via Moloch for Papa departure. Runway heading, we'll plan for 2,500. Will advise once airborne. Cebu 570.
There's a pilot at an Airbus about to take off from the airport that I'm coming into, actually doing the opposite route of me. He's going from Cebu to Manila in an Airbus, but I don't think we'll see each other. I imagine that by the time he's to me, he'll be well over 9,000 feet. But I'll go ahead and, when I get to my right turn here, I'll go ahead and announce my intention in, because he will be airborne and turning north. He's on the runway now. Got the speed up on the airplane. I think it had to do with bringing down the RPMs and up the throttles a bit. So as you can see here, I'm cruising at about 190, and in the blue, in the green, top of the green, top of the green. So that's what ended up sort of getting me the best speed on this trip. I've been hanging right at 9,000. Let's go ahead and look at our temps. We haven't looked at those in a minute. Finally got these in the green. I ended up finally being able to close my my cowls, which might be one of the reasons that we were able to get some better speed. Just
Local traffic, Cebu 570, airborne passing 2,500. Will climb to 32,000 feet.
I'm gonna announce my position to this guy. Cebu traffic, Delta 64, entering the Batay 1, approach at 9,000. Cebu traffic. Should not see this guy. Might make it nighttime just to see him. You should see lights coming up there at some point. Then again, I mean, he might be too far away. I expect he'll be well above me. Alright, let's see if it's time to make our turn yet. Should be getting really close. Yeah, pretty close. So we're going to make this right turn, and get us on a 170 for 25 miles. We're going to go ahead and start descending. We need to stay above 6,000, then 5,000. So I'm going to look at the, I'll begin my descent right after the turn, but then I'm going to start paying closer attention to the approach and arrival plates. I've already selected which one I want, the VOR runway 4, and I'll talk you through that as we get closer. Let's go ahead and be ready to make our turn and begin our descent. And we'll talk through a little bit about Sperry Autopilot again. So right now, you can see here my track is about a 016, and I want that to be 170. I'm sorry, there we go. So I'm going to turn that. The desired track is the top ribbon. It turns, and then as the airplane banks, it'll line up the 18 over the 18, the 15 under the 15, and of course the 17 green hash right on top of each other. So that'll put me getting a bit of a crosswind maybe. Didn't turn enough. Go ahead and do a 180 and see if that helps. That's indicating straight due south. Well, we'll run with that. Go ahead and begin our descent anyway. So I'm going to just bring elevator down. I'll keep the speed up for the moment. We'll try to descend at about 1,000 FPM and get us down to 6,000 feet. After we pass Tuber, which is the next waypoint on our track here, after we pass Tuber, I'll start decelerating. So let's actually go ahead and take an opportunity to look at arrival and approach. Yeah, 6,000, descend to 6,000, perfect. Descend to 5,000 by Tuber, yeah, that's what we want. And then 4,000 when I'm 10 out. And then if we look at the actual approach plate, what we're going to be doing here is tune into, we're already tuned into the VOR, but it's still out of distance. So when we get in here, we're going to fly straight to the VOR at 4,000. We're going to turn right and then loop around for a 046 approach. During this outward leg, I'm going to be descending for 1,500. So basically when I get around here, I want to be at 1,500 at FSO4 and beginning my descent. And at this point I should be capturing the glide slope if I pick up the VOR and the ILS. I'm actually not sure that there is an ILS at this airport. As far as I can tell, there isn't. So it'll be largely a visual approach, I believe. Indeed. So here's Cebu, and then off in the distance, one of these directions, is another island called Bahal. Been to both of these places. Bahal's kind of directly ahead on the other side there. Alright, coming down 7,300. Descending at 500 FPM, looking really good. Speed's kind of high, but that's not a bad thing right now. I'm going to turn right a little bit again. Get on the appropriate track. Oh, we picked up the VOR. See that? Needle. So we can start now navigating using the needle. Just want to get that facing perfectly straight on the compass. You get this pointing straight up on the compass. Still descending 700, passing 7 for 6. 2 more clicks to the left there. Alright, we can spin this little guy around and get our VOR needle. Looking at this here, get our VOR needle centered. So now we are flying directly to the Mactan airport using radio navigation. We don't need to worry about waypoints anymore, really. So I'm just gonna forget. Well, I need to be at 5,000 and then 4,000. So we'll just plan on descending to 4. Let's have this chart up and available to us. Okay, we're already coming up on Tuber, passing 6,000. Start arresting this descent a little bit. Back on the throttle a little bit. Dangerously close to an overspeed there. Cebu, Cebu. Right, let's trim the elevator up a little bit. Oops, wrong way. It's 5,000. We just passed Tuber. Now we need to get down to 4,000 for Delta 350 Juliet. $5,000. Go ahead and level off here. Speed should start coming down kind of naturally. I think the airport's right there. This island right here is called Lapu-Lapu. So over here is Cebu City, and on Lapu-Lapu there's the airport for the region. Thermometer is set. Speed is still kind of high here. Still descending, but that's okay. We need to get to 4. Props forward a little bit. Let's check our needle here. Turn left 4 degrees, center, and we are tracking pretty well here. Let's put it back on the main tank. find these fuel selectors kind of difficult to work with. About halfway through the flight, I had switched over to the aux tanks. Come off a bunch on throttle here. And pitch down some more. Speed's starting to fall. Looking pretty good. Prepared to turn it to basically 020. It's 199. Yeah, you can see the runway there. So we're going to swing out this way, loop around, and land right there on runway 4. Quickly check SimAware and see if anyone's in the area. Nocton traffic Delta 64 passing 4,000 on the VOR 04 approach. Nocton traffic. Keep it going. The next altitude target is 1,500. So what I'm watching for now is to see when either this needle flips or when this drifts off badly. When it does, that means I'm directly over the VOR and it is time to turn. Time for my turn. Okay, let's go ahead and turn right. 99. Continue descending. Continue decelerating. Let's move our mixture rich. Huh? Okay, airspeed is falling, that's good. We're at 170, down to 160. Turn a bit more. So we'll take a look at our Navigraph real fast. You should see that we are close to on track here. So I'm just following this around and then I'll be in for a 046 approach. So this needle will end up being facing the right direction, and if there is an ILS, we'll have two needles on this little guy over here. Pick up on 2000. Start leveling off this descent here. I'm going to sort of level off at 1500 for the turn. Go ahead and disengage the autopilot in a moment here. Yeah, let's do it now. Back on traffic, Delta 64 turning base for runway 04. Back on traffic. I'm not sure if I'm getting my Unicom calls exactly right or not, but good. 'Tis but a game. Speed's looking pretty good. Altitude's a little lower than what I'd like right now. Give it a little more throttle then. Regain a little bit of speed and altitude. Go here. Way too slow. It's so slow. Where's it at? Looking for that visual. Landing lights on. Here it is. Let's pay attention to our instruments down there. Okay, back off that throttle again. It was sinking faster than I wanted. Let's go visual here. About it. Flaps. Let's go put our gear down. And put in a notch of flaps to give us a little more control authority as we approach. I'm not sure if we've got PAPI lights here or not. I don't see any. Let's come down a bit more. Throttle in. The plane doesn't handle well at low speeds at all. Let's check, make sure we got a good gear light. We do. 046 coming in. Feeling a bit of a crosswind here, so I might be crabbing it in a little bit. Okay, let's bring it down. I think I'm coming in a bit high. We'll put another notch of flaps in. Trim the aircraft down a tad. Left. Off of the throttles. Still a bit too high. I find this plane exceedingly difficult to land. Easy to fly, fun to fly, hard to land. At low speeds, the control authority just evaporates, and it either wants to nosedive or float. I find it kind of difficult to predict in that way. Okay, we're pretty well lined up here. See if we can keep it on center line, and then of course the great challenge is upon landing, once we touch down, can we keep it on the runway? This thing is absolutely unwieldy once it's on the runway. It feels pretty good though. We got a pretty good glide slope coming in. Looking at those big white markers. Off the throttle a little bit more. Try to land it around 90. Flare it a little bit. This looks good. A little bit of rudder, a little bit of rudder, a little bit of rudder, flare it a little bit, zero out that vertical speed. Oh yeah. Oh, bounced it, bounced it. Par for the course of this thing. Rudder. Alright, zero out the throttles. Kicking, kicking, kicking. Kicking, kicking, kicking. Waiting for the nose, for the tail wheel to come down. Go ahead and unlock the rear wheel steering. Ah, there we go. Keep it on there, keep it on there. Keep it on the runway. Yeah, baby. Some brakes. Take this turn off right here. Whew. My goodness, stressful coming in for those landings. Mactan traffic, Delta 064 is clear of runway 04. Alright. Done did done it. Okay, shutting it down's easy. We're just gonna pull back these bad boys and these bad boys. Turn off our magnetos. And lights, avionics, alternators, and battery. Up the old crude Shocks on. And booyah. We be done. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Cebu.